Let's talk about people of goodwill, how to spot them. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to 7 a.m. John Henry Soto here. It is May 26, 2021. I believe it's Wednesday, hump day, as they say. Don't know what that means, but I guess it's getting over the hump of the week. Um, and that's that. So I hope everybody had a good evening last night. We had tacos. I had my show, counterparts show last night. See, I got my gear on this morning. Had a great show last night. Actually, it was really a lot of fun. Um, and and that's about it. I've been actually thinking a lot about this topic that we're going to be covering this morning because sometimes you'll see someone who is a decent person, have a good background. Nothing criminal has been found about this person at all. No suspicion of that prior to a certain period of time in this person's life, and yet um, people attack that person of goodwill, doing good things, and with a good history of doing good things. And you always wonder, like, how could somebody get so brainwashed into just seeing the bad, right, of someone because it's been illustrated, right, or it's been put, created, manufactured, and posted, and then suddenly that person becomes garbage, right? um and then someone who has a really bad reputation of doing criminal things and could probably be in prison is revered. And it's a fascinating thing. It's incredible that we've gotten to this point. But what we should not do is harm people of goodwill, because these are the individuals that are moving the thing, this thing that we're doing here forward, right? This relationships that we have within one another. And you look throughout history, you have Martin Luther King, um, John F. Kennedy, Robert Kennedy, um, Gandhi, people who just Abraham Lincoln, who were assassinated, who were murdered, because of what they were trying to do. They were trying to do something that was positive and something that was kind of throws a wrench into the plans of somebody who's trying to take full control, right? So whenever you got somebody that does that, it comes in and they're like trying to. If you're not going with the flow and smiling and be like, "Here we are, folks, everything's fine." If you're not doing that, then you're an enemy. You're a severe enemy, and this becomes the norm. This is what kind of happens. um so I wanted to go over a little bit about the traits of a person of goodwill. And as you all know, I talk a lot about this little booklet here. It's the color, it's always bad. It's called The Way to Happiness. So a common sense guide to better living. This is all green, obviously, so it's going through the green screen. Um but so I do give these books away for free. I still have a few, actually, on somewhere. But I do have a few. If somebody is interested in having a hardcover book, I can mail it to you. You can email me at right over here. You can email me at johnhenrysoda at protonmail.com. Um, and I will mail one to you. If you don't want the physical thing because you don't want to carry it around, maybe you want to read it on your phone, I could send you a digital one as well, and that will just give you the same content digitally. All right, so that's enough of that. Let's uh, let's talk a little bit about this. I just want to real quickly go over this. So it says here, it says, "Do not harm a person of goodwill." And he says here, despite the instance of evil, I'll give you that again. Despite the insistence of evil men, that all men are evil. So despite what evil men are saying, the evil men usually say that all men are kind of evil. Despite the insistence of evil men that all men are evil, there are many good men around and women. You have to be, you have to have been fortunate enough to know one. You may have been. Wow, it's a little early. Let me get a drink of coffee here so I could read properly. Because when I get up this early, my reading skills are not that great unless I've read the material a lot and I'm doing some kind of a job or something. But so okay, here we go. Factually, the society runs on men and women of goodwill. Public workers, opinion leaders, those in the private sector who do their jobs are, in the great majority, people of goodwill. If they weren't, they long since would have ceased to serve. Such people are easy to attack. Their very decency prevents them from overprotecting themselves. Yet, the survival of most of the individuals in a society depends upon them. The violent criminal, the propagandist, somebody who puts out propaganda, right? The sensation seeking media all tend to distract one's attention from the solid, everyday fact that the society would not run at all were it not for the individuals of goodwill. As they guard the street, counsel the children, take the temperatures, put out the fires, and speak good sense in quiet voices, one is apt to overlook the fact that people of goodwill are the ones that keep the world going and man alive upon this earth. Yet, such can be attacked, and strong measures should be advocated and taken to defend them and keep them from harm. For your own survival and that of your family and friends depend upon them. For your own survival and that of your family and friends depends upon them. The way to happiness is far more easily followed when one supports people of good will. All right, so that's what's there in that book. Um, and yes, if people were evil, this planet would not even be here right now. If everyone was evil, as some people would have you believe, right, that men have an evil part of them, and we may have certain aberrations in operating, and may have certain negative energies. But to say all men are evil, that's not true, right? And we know that because you go outside and you see people doing things, right, to keep the world moving forward. Just look around, right? Somebody comes every morning, picks up our garbage, right there. That's a hard job. They come out and they do it. A police officer goes out and saves somebody. Detective goes out and investigates a crime and brings the criminal to justice. A fireman goes out there and risks his life every day to try to put out fires. Our frontline workers that have been out there every day for over a year now, confronting this virus and putting their lives at risk and helping others. These are all people of goodwill, and they must be protected. And then it starts getting higher and higher. More high profile people start getting put out there, and that's when we have to start more investigating on somebody who's a celebrity, right? Somebody who's a well-known person has a much easier way. It's a much easier way for you to look at their background, right? And not just take the word of the media, because the media is out. It's there specifically to just kind of stir the pot, right? Divide and conquer, just make everyone fight against one another. And they're sitting back going, right? This is how I picture them. But that's what they've been doing since for a very long time. I mean, I read an article not long ago that it was from over 100 years ago, where the newspaper printed an article that was fake just to kind of hurt somebody they were competing with. And I was thinking, this was like not even 100 years ago. This was like 150 years ago. This was like one of the first written papers that was putting out, and they had control over the paper. So they said, well, let's just print an article just to destroy this person. And the other guy was like, hey, that's a good idea. And it's not a good idea. It's a horrible idea. It is an evil idea. So evil men have control of higher power positions, and this is where we have to kind of really look closely and see what they're actually doing and what they're actually saying, and not what the media is telling you that they're doing and they're saying. So there's a couple of traits that you can actually follow, which I'm going to go over in the future. I'm going to go over something specifically on certain traits of somebody who's a suppressive person. These are just some things for us to look at of people of goodwill, right? People that are good people, I should say, right? So first thing is that they're honest in their relationships, right? Relationships can be, and an amazing amount of stress on a person sometimes, right? Especially when things are going wrong. A nice person may try to stay in a relationship for too long. That happens all the time, right? You see relationships going way too long. And I don't mean romantic relationships. I mean just friendship relationships, right? It's like sometimes you're with friends with somebody and you're like, why am I friends with this person? I've been friends with them for 30 years. Why? It's probably because you've been friends with them for 30 years and you just kind of took it as part of your package deal, that came in. Not the case, but a truly good person will be honest in their relationship and move it forward, when things aren't going well. um and when things are not going well, when things are going well, fine. When things are not going well, end it. It's not easy, it's hard, but it's definitely not impossible. And to be honest with your relationship and to show someone how you feel and stay loyal when you've committed to them, that's how you can be honest in a relationship. And at the same time, you could sit down with somebody and you could say, listen, and this is not just a romantic relationship, like I said. This can be also just a friendship. Like, look, I know we've been friends a long time, but this is not working. We just should not be friends, you know? And of course, they'll be like, what you talk about? I don't know if it was Stallone, but what you talk about? We should be friends all the time. But yes, so that's one of them. The second thing is that they compliment others when they deserve it, right? And I think that this is something that it's hard to spot sometimes, but like for instance, if you do something well and somebody compliments you, that's a person of goodwill, right? Because that's a person who is confident in their own abilities, that they can actually um show some gratitude and appreciation for someone else's abilities, right? So this is actually a really important thing to look out for people. When no one gives you any compliments on anything, you got a problem. They have a problem, not you. You have a problem because you're friends with them, but they have a problem. They're not, and I literally will go out, and I'm not saying again that I'm anything here, but I just make it a point to sometimes leave voice messages, either on Instagram or one of those little voice messages things, and just say, hey, just want to let you know that I saw that post that you posted. I really thought that was really awesome, very positive. Hope you're doing well. Take care of yourself. And people are usually just shocked that I do that. People that are acquaintances and friends and close friends, obviously. But I do that because I at that moment when I saw their post, or when I experienced their create, right, their content, I was touched. I was emotionally touched, and I wanted to communicate how I felt. So rather than be like, some people, the haters especially, right? Haters will be like, you can get a hater is a really pathetic person, right? They don't even know that they're haters, right? They think that they're just being righteous or something, right? Um, but they don't compliment anything that you do, except is if it's something that they want to go against you, right? Then they come in and they immediately chime in their I wouldn't even say 2 cents, because it's not even worth that much, but they'll put in their opinion or their views, right? Which is fine, right? But they don't post anything positive about anything else that you post. So you already know that they are in a really dark place. They are troubled. They either have physical problems, they have mental issues, they're not happy with their jobs, they're not happy with their relationships. They're not happy in their own space. And when they see someone that's doing well, or social media is not real life, right? So people post pictures, and they're on boats and on beaches and sharing. I try not to do that. I post stuff in my beat up kitchen that's we've never done anything to it because we're renting in this place. But I post whatever. I post things in my house. I don't want to do that because that's not who I really am. This is who I really am, right? This is I'm building my brand here. I'm working on doing things. So I try to just put that stuff out there, right? But when you have someone that goes out of their way to not give you, to not at least, and not that you need it and not that you're searching for it. You shouldn't search for praise, you know what I mean? That's not what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about people that just come at you in a negative fashion and don't actually anything, don't give you anything positive or don't give you any compliments at all, right? Okay. um Politeness. Now politeness is something that is very interesting, because I've been talking to a lot of people from different parts. I talk to a lot of people from different parts of the world through my other streaming services that I do, or streaming programs that I do, um, Bigo Live and Likey and these other platforms where you meet people from all over the world. I have friends in Australia. I have friends in the UK. I have friends in Canada. A lot of friends actually in Canada. And politeness, and here in America, down south and on the East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, Mid East, whatever the hell, um, all the other rest of the places basically. And being polite, when you is it's an interesting thing. You're not showing weakness if you're polite. This is the first thing, right? People are, I think, you get this tough guy, who somebody says, "Hey, what's up?" You go, "What's up?" you know, or just or give you the head nod. He's trying to compensate for some loss that he has or she has, right? Because it happens. Maybe they're nervous, or maybe they just don't know what to say, or maybe they don't. So they'll rather just kind of play that tough character, whatever, right? And I think that's a real turn off as far as like wanting to even get to know this person. For me personally, whenever I meet somebody who's very few words, and especially if you're trying to like, you go, so you're from here? Yeah. Oh, cool. How long you live here? A few years. Then you're kind of like, all right, well, this is the where that's going, I'm usually I'll fall in love with a person's spirit like within 2 seconds, and be like, hey, how you doing? My name is John. And especially if they're involved in what you're doing, I want to just engage. Maybe that's I don't know if that's a flaw that I have, or some kind of weird mental thing. Maybe I'm needy or something. I don't know what that is. I'm not going to think about it because it doesn't hurt anybody and it doesn't make me feel bad. So being polite is extremely important. When you're at the supermarket, when the delivery guy is coming, to you ordered food and the delivery person is coming. When whoever you're dealing with, anybody in the service industry, I'm very polite with them. I'm actually I want to find out. So how you doing today? I always say, so how you doing today? And usually they're like, oh, I'm doing okay. And it gets them out of that little that little moment that they're in. They're kind of like doing this workaday thing, and it's very repetitious sometimes, their job, and they kind of probably need a little bit of a human interaction and actual human contact and energy. And so it's okay to be like, so how you doing today? And just get them out a little bit and have them have an original thought. And if you like something they're wearing, like, that's a cool hat, that's a cool it's a cool shirt, whatever. And get them out. Oh, thank you. And you just pull them out of it, of whatever it is that they're involved in, just a tiny bit, enough to give them a little bit more energy and more life. Okay, so that's just being polite. um um let's see here. They think of others, so there's something that kind of goes into the other ones. I'm just pulling out a few of them here because I don't, not all of them. They're all kind of like similar. Um, they smile. This is something that's difficult because you can't walk around. But I do smile when I'm in situations, and I do smile sometimes when I'm in stores and shopping and stuff, and somebody's checking me out. I want to kind of stay smile. I don't know. That's just, I don't know why. I mean, I tell my wife, we had a conversation about this. We've had it a few times, and I was talking about it on a show where I, people talk about making it. being successful, and I've already made it. I've already to where I grew up, in the environment that I grew up, the South Bronx in the 70s and the 80s, with the fires and the crack and the murders, and having witnessed murders in front of me, um, would kind of really put things into perspective, right? So for me, getting out of that environment was a huge thing. So when I moved into Manhattan and had an apartment with, I lived with like five people in this condemned kind of apartment, and I had my own room, and I was living in Manhattan, and I was playing in a band, and I was having a great time. That was a huge step into making it. Now I'm living in New Jersey. I have a beautiful wife who I love. I have beautiful children. I have a nice place to live. I have a good environment. I got great friends. I've made it. I made it already. You know what I mean? So for me, everything now is cake. I'm building on something I'm building a career, building a brand. I'm doing this because I want to help more people, and I want to be there for more people. I want to entertain people. I want to make people feel good. I'm doing this. This is all icing. This is all icing, and I'm just gonna keep moving forward, because making it is all subjective depending on where you came from, right? If you were born a millionaire into money, then making it doesn't become a huge giant. It's sort of a, you have the safety net. There's no risk involved into anything, right? So it's difficult to really make some heavy strides, right? Unless you sit down and you say, okay, from now on, I'm going to do this, and you make it. And there are a lot of people who were born into money who've done great things. I'm not saying that, but I'm basically saying that, when you're dealing with making the best out of every situation, you really then have to understand why someone like me would always smile or be friendly, or I have my strong opinions on things, but it never gets to the point where I hate anybody. I don't hate anybody. I'm trying to, if I'm ever discussing something with somebody, I'm just trying to get a point across. If they don't see it, that's totally fine. It's okay. I can go to sleep. I'll sleep really well. I'll eat just fine. I won't be upset. I won't be shaking. I hear people say, like, I had that conversation with that person. I was shaking after that. I was like, really? They made you shake? You were talking about whatever it was you were talking about? No. So this is a really important thing. And lastly is consistency. Being consistent in whatever it is that you're trying to achieve is extremely important, because you want to make sure that people understand that you're there, that you're still there, you're still going, you're still putting out content, you're still being relevant. And even if it's not in anything that if someone's not interested in that, that's fine. But as long as you're consistent to yourself, and you know that on a daily basis you're moving forward and creating something positive that's going to help others, um, that is important to me, is extremely satisfying, and just gratifying to know that every day when I wake up, I'm going to try to do something positive, or something in the direction of what my goals are, right? And that can be, somebody could say, well, I'll do it every few days. That's fine, as long as you're consistent on every few days. Some people say every single day. Like me, I do something every single day. Every single day, every single day, 7 days a week, 365 days a week. I'll do something to move the needle forward, you know, every single day. And that to me is how I want to do it. I want to operate that way. I'm happy doing it that way. It makes me happy. People say, well, you working too hard, you're going to burn yourself out. I had somebody tell me that. I'm not going to burn myself out. I'm not like mining coal here. You know what I mean? I'm not digging ditches. I'm not, doing heavy lifting work. You know what I mean? I'm using my creative mind, whatever is up here, and putting it into some positivity and putting it out into the world. So it's not that, but consistency is very important. And the last one that we will talk about today, in the near future, I will talk about specific 12 characteristics of someone who's suppressive and trying to bring you down. I will talk specifically about that and give you the reasons of how that applies, and how you can spot them, and how you can avoid being around them. And we'll talk about that in the near future episode. All right, folks. Thank you very much. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. I'll see you all tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. So please make today great. Do the things that you love. Take care of yourselves. And as always,